Week 3 of class was very similar to that of Week 2. We continued our exploration of electricity and how it all works. We went a little more depth into the formulas and theory. I started my exploration into camera flash circuits, mode, blade, and I began to decide how we are going to do this project, but we did not get very far. Last week I learned about the formulas of resistance and conductivity, but this week we learned how they derived those formulas. In a circuit it is important to keep your positive and negative wires separate. After we discussed a little theory, we got out the voltmeters and began to play with them. When we went to figure out the amps or the current running through the system, David could not remember how, so maybe we will get to do it next week. That is pretty much all we learned about electricity this week. In my spare time I decided to tear apart some disposable cameras and see what kind of a kick they have. From what I read on the capacitor, the circuits will discharge 300 V. Believe me, 300 V gives you quite a shock. I did some research online and found out that we need to solder wires onto the leads to the capacitor for our gun. David told us that we will have next Wednesday to work on our project. My group and I looked on the internet for coil gun designs, and we found that other than changing the casing, most of the coil guns are built the same way. In some cases we saw multi-stage guns, but for this project that might be a little too much kick. We are going to stick with a single-stage gun, and I don't think that we have the time or the resources to create the gun casing. In between classes I decide to go to the store to check out prices, and this project will probably cost $10 each. This week we went in depth about more theory and formulas. The more interesting part of this was starting to work on our class project. Circuit boards and cameras convert the power from a small battery into a strong jolt. Next week we plan to buy our materials and begin the assembly of the project.